Hi, me again with Corel Draw tips and tricks. Somebody sent me this really sharp. It's a bitmap, but it's really sharp. And they're brand new to Corel, like a couple of weeks, and they want to make their first ornament. So I'm going to go a little slower on this. And first I wasn't going to just do it and show him. And then I thought there are some pretty cool tools in ways, and they kind of like gave me a free hand to do what I needed to do. So the one I'm doing it for, your hummingbird, is huge. So I'm going to reduce it in size. Now, moving it around, you see a gray bounding box. That's a telltale sign that there is a white background behind it. And we need to get rid of that. So this thing is only, well, we're going to make it bigger in a minute. So I'm just going to make my nudge factor like 2 inches. And I've always made a duplicate of it and move it over in case I mess up. And then we're going to go trace bitmap, outline trace clip art. I use that 99% of the time. It's already a smooth image, and there's no internal parts. So I know that there's only going to be a white background, and it's going to be removed. So there's our bird. Don't really need that anymore. I don't need the yellow box. Now, you've got to think about some things about an ornament. And 4 inches is probably about the max you can do. And like if you're going to hang it on a tree or even a window. And I would maybe pick another font, but I'm going to use that. And all caps would be easier, but I thought I'm going to make this work with SG and make it work. So what I want to do is kind of size my ornament first. And I'm going to make it 3.5 inches. And I'm going to hit P, put it in the center of the page. Now I'm going to take my ornament and hit 3 or P and put it in the center of the page. Now, you need really 2 surfaces touching, or 3. This only has 2 right now. So what I want to do is make my inner circle. I'm going to hold down the shift key and bring that in where now I've got 3. Ideally, you could bump the circle up. Well, that you wouldn't want to do that, but move it up like this, and you'd have 3 touching. And I think I'm going to do that. Let's just do that. And I'm going to go and hit P again because I might have moved it. And I just barely want to get that. So now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to make my hummingbird a little bit smaller. I don't want that much of his beak taken apart. And see, it doesn't really matter if he's in the center. As long as you have, I'm having trouble selecting the hummingbird. As long as you have 3 people, 3 things touching. Okay. And then I move it back down. So I'm going to click on it and see, I think I've got the lips. So I'm just going to move it up, holding down the control button. Okay. Now I am going to take my bird and hit the plus key and move it over twice. You know what? Learn better. Change your nudge factor to 4. So you only have to nudge it once. I didn't make a duplicate, so nudge it back. Because if you nudge it 3 or 4 times, you're going to lose. You're going to forget what you're doing. Now, I'm almost not recording my board over here. We have that. We've got all 3 things touching. This is one of those cases that well does not work. This is one of those cases where you don't know if it's back minus front or front minus back because you don't know which one you drew last. I do because I drew it, but so you're going to use front minus back. And there is your outline for your bird. Now, I think I'm going to want to do, and this would take more engraving. Well, you could actually engrave this just like that, and it would cut out around it. But I think it might look cooler if we left click. I'm sorry that I got that off. And I'm going to go to Effects and Contour, and I'm going to contour the inside with rounded corners 0.02. Now, normally I have to break that apart, but since I'm using the Smart Fill tool, I just fill that in. And there we will have some wood around our bird. Now it messed up the tail a little bit, but big deal. You're going to have some engraved parts past the cutting, but not so far. So for just a second, I'm going to move that out of the way. Okay, and one thing I should have done first, we can get rid of this. One thing I should have done first, I should have made a second circle. So remember 3.308. I'm going to make an ellipse. 3.308. I'm going to match it to here. And I'm going to move it over. The reason for that, I'm going to make this about 50 points. Well, not 550. Okay. The reason for that, I'm going to show you. There's a lot going on with this path. Let's go to text the path, and look at it. There's too many paths. So don't do it. Put it over here. Text the path. It doesn't matter what path you put it on. Now, we've got what some people consider a problem with the G. I don't consider it a problem. I consider it a challenge. I want it to go off there a little bit, okay? Now what I'm going to do is you have to select them both and go up to Object and break the text apart, and then nudge that back over. See, it's on the same path. And just don't delete this bird, because this is going to be our bird for engraving. Now I'm going to make a larger ellipse I'm going to hit, well, we're not working the center of the page, but I'm going to put it right where it was, holding down the Shift key and have it grow, but with a two-sided, and I want it about like that. And I could have still raised up I could lower this, I'm not even center this file, but I wanted to learn. So just kind of make it even. Now, how do we fix that? Because it's not going to be in the engraved part. This will be pretty cool because it'll actually engrave on the outside of our ring. And I've yet to put I always wait till last, because now we're at 4.5. So we need to change that right at the end. So to make it simpler, I'm going to move my bird back out of the way, because I don't want to mess up. I'm going to take my text. I'm going to go to Object and break the text apart. I'm going to grab the G. I think I got the G and the B. And I'm going to make a duplicate and move it over. I am going to left. I'm sorry that I got that out of the sight. And I am going to contour this to the outside 0.02. I just want a little bit there. I'm going to go to Object this time and break the contour apart. If I grab the middle, it'll grab the G. And if I grab this, it'll grab that outer one. And I'm going to move that over to there. Okay? See what I'm doing? Now, a little bit of manual work. Let's grab, you know what? Let's move that G back. Let's move that G out of the way. And let's move our hummingbird, I don't know if I have it all, up. Matter of fact, I'm going to move my G back over. I'm going to move these two birds. So there's our humming. I'm actually going to group these together now. I'm going to take my other G, that are contoured G, and I'm going to do this right here with the virtual segment delete key. I'm going to delete that. 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 You could actually delete that. Might be smarter. Okay. Now what we have to do, because what we did is you need to take the Smart Fill tool any color and fill that in. Move it over. And what that did, that sealed up. I'm going to get rid of that G. I'm going to just get rid of this. And I'm going to move this back. That sealed up our loop. Okay. Now we're going to nudge that back. Nudge this back. And we are done. And see, you've got that little bit. I could have maybe contoured a little bit more. But I think it adds a lot of detail. And like you worked a little bit on it. Now, Control G to group. With our ratio lock, change it to 4 inches. And now you got a 4x4 ornament. Now, I've made so many eye holes. Let's go up to Object, Group and Ungroup it, and let's take this and move it out of the, well, that'll work. I just don't want to mess up. So if you look, that's the center of the page or center of the ornament. And I'm going to put it right there. I'm going to draw an ellipse and I'm going to put it right in our center. This is the easy part. Control D to duplicate and move that in to whatever size ribbon you think. Now take your virtual segment delete key and delete this, 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 and this. Now, one last thing, take your Smart Fill tool, fill that in, and what that did, that made it solid, and it'll cut, it'll all be one piece, and then move it back over, and look at that. You really see how the pieces are broken? So you have to have it like this. Now this is a, oh man, we mess with our eye. You know, but that could be remedied by a smaller hole. So what I'm gonna, let's just make a smaller hole just to show you there's no center. I'm gonna make a smaller hole and just put it right here. And you know, ribbon or whatever will fit through it. I'm gonna ungroup it. Well, evidently it's not grouped. I'm gonna move my text out of the way. Well, you know, this is the only, okay, our text is only right here. So I can move it out of the way. You know what? The text is part of everything. Okay, break curve apart. Grab our text and move it up and just delete this outer ring. Now you have a smaller hole. And you could move it up. And if I wish I would have thought about that, no, I would still move my bird out of the way, put this back, Smart Fill it one more time. That'll seal that hole. Left click, right click, and if you will start making everything red, it signifies a cut line in laser engraving. Put our bird back. This might be the longest video I've made in a long time, but I like it. This adds a lot of detail. You know, I would have maybe contoured 0.03 to make it a little bit bigger. But see, the bird is engraved past there, but not. And I could have engraved the whole thing. You know, I didn't mean to contour it, but I think it adds to it. Anyway, I hope that helped them a little bit. And for the one I'm helping, you've got my email somehow. Well, I'll leave it out there. Email me anytime for help. I love to help. Thank you for watching.